The moment you stop at that and come back to help. Because whenever you want to talk about help, you remove the benefit from yourself and make it that person. Doc, you know, if I have problem with my health, now I come. You take care of me. You do all your diagnosis, ask all the questions to find out what is wrong with me. Then you start doing that because you want me to be healthy. You're trained to do that. The problem is that when your husband is the person, you get sentimental. That's why they don't want you guys treating your own relatives. You get sentimental, and the man will also get sentimental. Somebody that is very close to me went through a sickness that will kill 100 people. 100 people. Actually, a demonic arrangement that is enough to destroy 1,000 people. And I had to be the doctor in that situation. It was the toughest thing I had done in my life. Because the Lord will come and talk to me and said, the first thing is, remove yourself from this. You see, this is the same thing with pastors and their kids. If your Angie's daughter gets pregnant, they bring the case to me. This is what I do every time. I know what to do with her. I will talk to her. I will walk whatever. But if it happens in my house, your emotion will come in. You will. The same thing you do for other people's kids, calm down and now do it. So emotion will come in because you are thinking, this girl has disgraced me. See the shame you have brought on this family. See the shame you brought on my name. You see, you are no more doing help. You are doing self-help. Because it's you now that you want to help, no more the person. You can imagine your husband comes to you to treat infertility. You leave the infertility. You see what you have done to me now. First of all, you lied to me. You know you cannot father a child and you got me into this marriage. So is this what you want me to take? How can I take this? I'm not going to take this. Number two, I even found that it's infection that led you. So this is what you have been doing with girls. But you do it for all other men. The one you are asked to do it for, you fail. I've even decided that if I'm in a relationship, for example, and I want to leave somebody, let's assume I want to leave marriage, I will still do all the kindness and all the good things that if he is Jesus, he will do. When I finish doing it for you, get you in a good place, then I'll find my way. Because Jesus too can be pushed to a point where he lives. And you better know that too. You better know that human beings can do that. Let nobody give you 100% guarantee as long as you are dealing with a human being. Because without the other person's cooperation, you can't have that 100% guarantee. God does not give it. So God says, whosoever. Because he knows that it's a part for you. There is a part. But what me, after what I have learned, I will do whatever that if it's God that is in this situation, if it's Jesus, I will do all of those things. And I was teaching a friend of mine who had to leave his marriage, and he's a pastor from a different country, but a very close friend of mine. I said to him, do everything that Jesus will do here. And I said, let's sit down, remove yourself. Once you put yourself, you get sentimental, you start. Take it that this is another person's wife that came to you with this. Take it that this is a flock, a sheep you're giving to look after. And it's very hard to remove yourself from the situation. You see, that's exactly what the problem is. What if the guy got gonorrhea and he comes to you as a gynecologist to treat him, you will leave his sickness, then you're supposed to help him cure and get into your sickness. Can you imagine how hot I am? So is this what? Let's not even talk about it. What if it's HIV? You have killed me in this marriage. I left my whole family. Do you know 2 other people that proposed to me? It's because I love you, Chuka, Chuka, Chuka. This is what you did to me, Chuka. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you are not performing. This is one of the reasons you are not what you are meant to be. You see now, they give you emotion, give you a will, give you the intellect. All the other products that fulfill purpose don't have it. If you bring a hammer, it doesn't have emotion. It just hits the nail, put it. Whether the nail is a sister, brother, child, whatever, push it inside. You will go inside. If you bring a saw to cut, saw, no emotion. Just cut the thing, it will cut. You are my father, you are my mother, you will just do this. You bring a car, carry these guys to Jos, the car carries them. You bring a human being, situational leadership comes in. No. So that's why we need training. There is an art, and there's something you need to know about emotion. Anytime you are emotional, you are not rational. Emotionalism is the opposite of rationalism. So let me say it in another way. When emotion goes up, wisdom goes down. When wisdom goes up, emotion goes down. So whenever emotion is high, tell yourself you are irrational. Wait till that thing has calmed down and normalized. That's when you should speak, and that's when you should act. The behaviors you carry out when emotion is high are the behaviors that will haunt you and the behavior that will damage another person. The things you say are always those things you will regret, and the things that you want to withdraw back after. They are the things that do all the damages. You need to understand this, because the man that walks in the spirit doesn't walk by emotion. The man that walks by faith doesn't walk by feelings. The woman that walks with God does not follow his emotions. The person follows principles. So the person is able to keep executing constant behavior irrespective of changing circumstances. And that's what makes God God. God does not change. God remains good even when people are bad. God remains love even when people are wicked. And God had to teach me this. It doesn't matter who is bad, what the person did. Don't become bad because you are responding to a bad person. Remain good even when you are responding to a bad person. So the Lord taught me that even in relating with Satan, I keep remaining just and fair. God does not cheat Satan. This is why he gave us a savior, an advocate. Because if you remove Jesus from the equation, if Satan comes to court and argues a case, and God sees that what he's arguing is true, he lets him have his way. But because of that, he was gaining a lot of victory over God's children. Because what he does is he will be the one to tempt us. After we fall into his trap, he will take the case to God, because he can't touch you without permission. So he takes the case to him and argues. The Bible calls him the accuser. This man is constantly bombarding the court of heaven with lawsuits against us. So God saw that, and that he's working against his children. He's also working against him because he's just. If you are just, you have to be just. And so what he did was to provide us an advocate. Once he did his messianic work, 3 years was what he allowed him to be here. He had to come where the case is hottest, because on earth is not where you lose the battle. It is there. You lose the battle, then he shows up on earth. Whatever judgment that is given there is what follows here. So he had to bring him up. And now the only way we lose a case is when you contradict your advocate. He is arguing something for you on earth, you are giving a contrary evidence. There is nothing God can do for you. So when they're teaching you positive confession and all of it, it's not just about saying positive things always. Make sure that you speak in line with the word, because the advocate argues in line with the constitution. Make sure that whatever you say is in line, and you have to know the provisions he made for you on the cross and use that. If you use it, you will always defeat the devil 100%. That's what the Bible means by they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. The provisions of the cross is the basis for winning every case in the court of heaven. So the second mandate God gave to every woman is to be a wife. The calling to be a helpmate. Purpose comes first, and purpose will be there before you marry and will be there after you marry. And remember that you start single, you couple with a person, and then you end up creating a community, a family. And then finally the community leaves first, the children will grow and leave home. Then it will be two of you again. And then finally one person will leave the other, and you'll be single again. So it's a cycle. You go back the way you started. You start out a child, you grow adolescence to adulthood, then you have children, there are children. As your children grow to adulthood, you go back to childhood, where the people you used to look after are now the ones looking after you. That's how life is. And that's how you start from the doors, you go back to the doors. It's a cycle. So what that means is that a lot of wisdom is required in managing life cycle. When you teach women about life career balance, there are 12 laws for getting it together. 12. I don't think I will give them today. So let's just list this. But maybe next Tuesday I will see if that's what I will do. But there are 12 laws for getting. Anybody that learns them, even 7 of them, you can run your life. You can do these things without headache. For example, here is one of the laws. They have to understand the law of life cycles and the seasons of life. This is how life is. It's divided into 4 quadrants. Remember what I did with Nigeria? So I did north, west, northeast, southeast, southwest. And that's how Nigeria is actually. Then we have the middle belt in the center. But when purpose 2 is abused and it gets to a point, divorce can occur. But we should do everything to preserve the marriage and sort out the injustice and balance it. Just like the teachings I'm going to do in the next 3 weeks, we clean up a lot of things in your family life. And for those that are not married, you will see how easy it will be now for you to marry. All this story about Abuja or no Abuja, that Abuja is hard to find husband, this one, this one, story. When value, people see value, they don't care whether it's from Abuja or Lagos or America. I told you about the law of self-interest. Human beings are created with that. Once they see it, they go for it. Why is it that you don't go to Lagos to buy all the things? Most of the things are cheaper there, because they charge you the cost of transportation between Lagos and here. Nothing is imported from here, it's imported from Lagos. That's where the wharf is. But why don't you go there to buy it? When you see quality clothes in a shop, when you see quality food in Ebano supermarket or whatever supermarket, when you see quality whatever, you forget that there are cheaper supermarkets in Lagos. So people are not supposed to travel to get a husband or a wife when women are all around them. What is the system is trying to drive away the correct values. The correct values, marriage values. So for women and men, there are 4 seasons of life. There is season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4. There are things to do in each of these seasons as part of the secret for managing your 5 callings. Do you know that as a single, this second calling is not yet in operation? Is it not? It's not yet there. And there is a chunk of your time that takes. So you can take all that time and add to your number 1 calling. Okay, right. The third calling of every woman is the calling to be a mother. Do you know how much of your time that one takes? Look at some of you now. You are single and you're complaining that you don't have time for yourself. And very soon you're going to add a second assignment. A man, a full-blown man to take care of. And you're going to share your whole life with him. Do you see, taking care of your room, you're not able to keep that room clean. You're complaining about your clothes that are not dry clean. And now you're going to add another person's problem to that. And this one is full-time ministry. Look at all the time you say you don't have now. I'm going to show you how to solve these problems. I'm going to show you the secrets later. But you need to, let's do the diagnosis so that you understand what you're going into. And then while you're doing that, if you are married and there's no child yet, there are just 2 ministries functioning. But there are 5. Just use 2 fingers out of 5. And you're already complaining. Soon now, addition will start. The first child arrived, second. And you have to share this money you said that you don't have enough. You now have to share with another person and share with this small community. Let's not even talk about food, health care, clothing, feeding the children. Let's just talk about school fees. Because you have to do this third ministry, somebody else before, you didn't used to spend money on him. He's a principal somewhere. He's a school board somewhere. Now, from that day you added this ministry, you don't know which one to put first. Is he your landlord or this principal and our school? To put roof over your family and to give quality education to your children, which one is more important? There are ministries that must be carried out. So you were not able to take care of one person. Now you have to take care of a whole man. And now you have to take care of. And so what will happen, just these 3, is either your spiritual life starts suffering, number 1. Your relationship with God, you put God as a spare tire. It's only when there is problem you run back to him. Or your husband is the one you put as a spare tire. You promise him all those love because you were single, dating. And now he becomes a spare tire. And then these 3 kids grabs all your love and attention. And problem has started. And now you're having problem with 2 husbands. The one that is above and the one that is beneath. Or you carry your life and share between the 2 you can see. This and this, at least these are. Abandon the one that died for you on the cross. Until the consequences of that neglect shows up. You come to it. If you save me from this child, is the child dying. The one you have made your God is now dying. You just saved this child for me. If you know what I went through to get this child, I almost died in the hospital where I was giving birth. Father, don't do this to me. If you would just save Amara for me, please. You see her crying. The person that is not important all of a sudden becomes more important than every other thing. Or it is Oga that is living. You see her, she doesn't miss services again. She will be sowing seed. She will come in to stop me when you know how I go sometimes. She will block. Oh, pastor, I have to sow into your life. Or if she has wired it, pastor, I wired something into your account. Please, my life is collapsing. My whole world, I'm finished. Pastor, you have to help me. Do you know what is the fault? A career and your business. Put it there. You think because you're a woman, you should go into a man's world and just be begging and be dependent. No, you have not read your Bible well. You have not read your Bible well. And the fifth is that you're called also to impact the society where you live. You are also called to be a social influencer. You see? It's one thing to pray, God, use me until it starts. Now, the prayer has changed now. Oh God, help me. Give me wisdom to manage. It's true. And when we start getting to the 12s, whatever, you will see how to balance these seasons. You have 4 seasons as a woman. You have morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And there are things that are meant to be done in these 4 seasons. If you are single now, you're not doing spiritual development, you're not investing in personal development, you are go and talk to somebody that is married who was saying, I will do it after. Go and ask them. That's why some of them are not earning what they should be earning now in their career. But go there now, a lot of young girls are running around, joining our party, whatever, wasting this unique season. And then when the weight that will come to make demand on it comes now, they find out there is nothing in their account to spend. A lot of young people are not helped. Of course, somebody like him, what we are balancing for him is the social component. So when I explain it from a business perspective, that your relationships and your networks are part of your money. So that you need to also give attention to the important issue of balancing it, Jack. You know the parable about Jack? Play and no play. That's work and no play. Make Jack a dull boy. Then play and no work. He's Jack. Not just a lazy boy, he's a stupid boy. Come, Pastor Ju, come. Your last born is how old? 11 years thereabout. That's Pastor Ben's wife. Okay. Looking for a young couple that has 1-2-year-old child. Any lady around here? Just young kids. Come on, lady. Come on, my dear. Your last born is how old? 2 years. Do you see? There are some things she can now undertake in her assignment that you shouldn't try. You are not at the same season. Just like you are not going to die the day she will die. You didn't marry the day she married. And even if you had wedding the same day, it doesn't mean your pace is the same. Your calendar is different. Just because this is a young woman, she's 25, she's dating, and now she's wedding, doesn't mean a young girl that is 13 should go and find a boyfriend. It is not that season. She is in the morning of her life. This is not the season for love or for dating or for relationships. And she should be kept away from too much exposure to R-rated things that will make her think that's what. she should focus more. There are some aspect of relational knowledge that she should be given, especially the ones that will protect her. She needs to know enough. When a man is coming around you and trying to touch you a certain way, there are certain things parents should have discussion. That's why they talk about sex education even for kids, but not at certain level. This thing increases as the child matures. But this one that is 24, how can you not talk about everything with her? There's nothing to hold, including childbirth. She should even be brought in and help to watch one or two videos about what other women. Let her know what she's about to face. Everything, women health, all kinds of things. So you are both women, you are both married, but you are not in the same season. When you are a hen and you have these chickens that are running around and they can die on the road, crossing the road, the way the hen behaves is different from when the other hen that is running around with a male cock that has nothing. It's different. And it's different from what the other hen does, whose children have grown. So you can take that job they are offering you that involves going to Canada. Always some part of your time is in South Africa, some part is Dubai, some part is this. And even as a pastor, for example, you can now start taking invitation, women conference, Canada, this one, this, and your calendar is jammed. If she does it at this time, what she can do, women conference at home. Things that are within, reach your city, reach things that are within, that won't take exact too much time at your home, because even your husband of children that are at that stage is still at the heat of his manhood. He needs his wife. Another stage in his life, you can be away for 6 months, he won't complain too much. He can survive as long as the other support system around him, his food and other things. But that young man is a young man. Do you know how long it takes for the male sperm to fill up after sex? Not more than 2 days. It takes people at least 1 month to regenerate an egg. 48 hours. And once the thing fills up, that sperm, whatever, it starts coming into the sperm dot. There is a sensation it gives men. They need sex. There has to be a way to release that thing. It's either through sex or masturbation or wet dreams. Wet dreams is for children, teenagers that are coming up. Some men have it. So if we come here and preach all this holiness thing and tell men, don't masturbate, you want to make heaven and all that, there are still laws of nature. After you finish with spiritual and moral laws, there are natural laws. The same God created them. That's why he gave him a wife. And some of you who are married don't understand. I told you that the man's number one need is respect. His second need is sex before food. I don't think you heard it. Before food. You know how men need their food. If you just learn how to massage a man's ego, you can be controlled. They will be wondering if you're using charm. That is God that put that in there and put an instruction for a woman to feed that thing. You crush with it, you create hell for yourself and for him. The woman's number one need is love, not sex. You can do without it for long, even though there are some modern ladies now that are made by Satan. No, don't worry, I'm joking. Some are made by Satan, some are actually product of nature. They're, sexual needs, even some of them surpass men. That's not the normal natural, but there is an exception even among women, just like there are also an exception even among men. You should know that. A woman's number one need is love, affection, not sex. So she needs love, but the man needs sex. When he pets you, talks to you, cuddles you, do all those things, you get your need met. But his need is not met by cuddling and talking and all that. This is why when you are dating a single guy, you must have a boundary. Because what some of you ladies do is that you don't understand the differences. So you push the thing, and then you have finished all the talk, and you have hugged, and you expect everybody to go. And the guy is not happy because he needs the other thing. While you are busy talking and you are happy, he is in another world. Oh, these are... Okay, we are going to talk. Let me leave you people because it's late. I need to release you for today. I need to release you. But realize that there are 5 callings. You are called to be God's girl and to be a woman of God, called to have a relationship with him. The same way you meet needs between you and your husband, that's how there is also need meeting between you and him. There are things he does in your life, and there are things you do in his life. What you have with Jesus is a relationship. What you have with him is marriage. It's covenant. It's a deep relationship which no human being must come in between. And then out of that relationship, there are assignments you are to carry out for him on earth. Because since he's not here in person, ministry is what he wants you to do for him. And this thing involves touching lives. So it starts with the people that are in your life. Because he died for all human beings, including that your husband and wife. So he wants you. If you make a covenant that the man in your life will never go to hell, that no child from your family will go to hell, and nobody within your circle of influence, family, will go to hell, you have deepened something in your walk with God that will have far-reaching consequences. There are dimensions of his love and favor you will start pulling out that you don't enjoy now. If all you're doing with Jesus is just for your personal benefit, there is a level you have not taken that marriage. Because if you have a marriage where you are only doing selfishness in that marriage, the person might not go. But there is a dimension you will never enjoy in that marriage. You enjoy your marriage when you learn to meet needs, when you learn to serve the other person, to meet the other person's needs. Whenever you say, I love my husband, I love my wife, back that talk with action. The action is service. And this service is not just, it's practical things I bring to his life that makes me indispensable. You should be such that if anything were to happen and you are not there, but God forbid, whether it's death or whatever, he can travel around the whole world. He will find it hard finding your replacement. Finding a woman is not the issue. Finding the content that they bring to the table is where the problem is. And because there are few that have the content these days, when men find those few that have it, there is usually a rush. It's true. The ugliest lady, if there is such a thing as that, can marry and give years to the prettiest girl. The prettiest girl may attract more, but that lady attracts and keeps. And the prettier one will have people window shopping and passing because of the wrong baggages she's carrying. One prayer all of us should start praying. Okay, the one I've given you, I would love for you to see it in the Bible, because if you don't see it, you would think I made it up. And if you think I made it up, you won't pursue it. The message tonight is that you can have it all. You can have a very solid Christian life and ministry. You can be a very successful wife. You can be a very successful mother. And you can be a very successful career or business person. And you can actually touch your society also. There are about 5 scriptures that tackles these things I talked about. They're in your Bible. If he's not sure, you think he's somebody that came up with it. But there is one where you can find at least 4 of those components in one writing. So sometimes when you don't have time, that's one place. If you want to show it to your own daughters, or you are mentoring other women and you want to show them, don't just get into marriage and just leave out being a wife. No. You can have your own money and be able to give a gift. You can buy your husband a car. You can give him a house as a birthday gift. You can say, I want to surprise you. This is our wedding anniversary. See land paper. You say, hi, 6 plot. I bought it. And I told myself, I'm going to really surprise you today. See it. It's an acre. It's in Maitama. I didn't hear an amen. No. I called Maitama for a purpose. Because some of you have designed that thing. I can't have it all. As a woman now, yes, you can only have one. Let me manage and get one. Okay, let me just manage and combine two. I'll just be a good Christian, my spiritual life. And then, please, husband. Okay, let me manage 3. I also want children. And that is it. Proverbs 31, please fast. Verse 1. I read this last Tuesday, but it's what? Verse 1. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. Okay, the person talking now is King Lemuel, not Solomon. There are at least, I think, about 5 chapters of the book of Proverbs that was not direct from Solomon. There are other contributors, other people that God gave wisdom. This is one of them. Chapter 31 was not Solomon's contribution. Let me tell you the kind of things Solomon wrote about women, how to beware of, where's this type of women? Strange women. He wrote about 3 chapters on that just in Proverbs chapter 5, Proverbs chapter 6, Proverbs chapter 7. They dealt with him. So he wrote those to 100 people. But because he didn't marry a virtuous wife, he doesn't know what it is. His marriage was his failure. There is a young king that was also wise like Solomon, but Solomon was wiser according to the Bible. Bible compared about 5 other wise people of his generation to him. There is a chapter that did that and said his wisdom surpassed them, except in this area of marriage. Look at another person. It's important for you to note. Men, take note. The man David never lost any battle. He was successful all around. He only suffered failure in one area when it came to women. The reason he succeeded in all the other areas is because everything he does, he will inquire from who? He had one of theirs, what is called the 7 keys of David. One of his principles is that he must ask God, verify from God before taking any step, any decision on anything. But when it comes to women, he trusts his own wisdom. That boy that dealt with him, called Absalom, he got the mother from one of the neighboring countries. That was not a Jewish woman. The same mistake that Solomon made. The only thing that his son now took it to another level. That's what they call them, strange women in those days. They marry hidden women. David did only one. He had 7 wives, but he collected one from whatever. And it is that one that almost destroyed his life. Because when Absalom first misbehaved and he was corrected, guess what he did? He ran to his mother's place. And the king of that country now took him in. and now taught him their own culture. And when he finished, he carried it and returned. Rebellion started. Do you see how these things work? If you notice, everybody that made that mistake will always have a wound to tell the story. There's a type of, we are not in men's discussion today, there's a type of woman every man should stay away from, and they come to church. Some of them like religion, but they are not willing to drop their baggages. When I deal with that, you will see. If you know their characteristics, there are 5, you can detect them anywhere you see them. I wish some of us were taught this early. So now, what some of you men will be learning is how to downhill the broken cracks. For those who got into some trouble, if a wall cracks, there is also a way to fix it. Don't go and start thinking about how to find another. There is no, you have already entered. It's the same thing with women too. So Proverbs 31, the words of King Lemuel. The words of King Lemuel, the utterances which his mother did what? So the chapter on virtuous women, most of you go and jump and start from verse 10. Verse 10 is about your role as a wife and as a professional, a business or career woman. It starts in verse 1. This lady, King Lemuel's mother, first succeeded as a mother. Of course, to succeed as a mother, you have to succeed as a wife. As you read and you see that this virtuous woman was into business and career and made a lot of money, built family house, did a lot of things. Yet, she invested in raising a king. There are about 3 powerful examples of them in the Bible. One is the one called Eunice in the New Testament. You see him in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1. That one raised a bishop. One of the most powerful pastors that the early church produced is Timothy. He became the bishop of Asia Minor. His headquarters was Antioch. That's Turkey today. He's one that pastored the Middle East. Succeeded, handed over generation up to 600 years after he's gone. Then Islam now came. 600. Will your ministry leave an impact that will last 600 years? A woman raised Timothy. Of course, 2 generations of women, Eunice and the daughter, Timothy's mom. This one raised a king. Now we are called to be priests and kings. So what quality of children are you producing in your house? What? And this is intentional, because if you're going to produce a king, you must know the kind of things you put inside this child early enough that will cause him to go in that direction. If you check verse 2, you see that one of the things she deployed is covenant. She covenanted the child to God along certain lines. Look at it. What my son, what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows. The same way Hannah produced a prophet, Eunice produced a bishop, Lemuel's mother produced a king. What is going to come out of your house? You see, the journey you're going to make with me in this coming Tuesdays is deep. There are a lot of issues it's going to clear for you. Trust me, I'm going to put very critical keys in your hand. You cannot fail. It's not possible when you have it. People are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So how can you have such powerful business, have a powerful ministry, and still be a successful mother? If you look at some of the things she taught this young guy, like you check verse 3, 4. Let me show them immediately, please. Do not give your strength to women. So immorality was one of the first things. A woman raised a boy that will not play around. And this is the mistake that Solomon had. But Lemuel's father controlled in another king like Solomon what Solomon's mom failed in. I don't know whether it's because she had adultery with David, so she lost her moral ability to raise that boy. She could have still raised the boy successfully. Even when you have failed, you can raise a success. There is a way to do it. It means that you have to be honest. You have to stop lying. You don't have to tell the child everything, all your junks, but you have to be able to, because if the children has sensed that certain things, stop pretending. You don't have to tell them the details, but acknowledge shortcomings. That's how you rebuild the bridge of trust. And then from there you can start rebuilding them. Yes. It's the same thing with leadership. If a leader makes mistake, you don't have to give people all the acknowledge. Stop making people think that maybe you live in a castle and all of that. Okay, for example, now I came in this evening and I asked for prayer. You think asking for prayer makes you weak. Humility makes you strong. And don't also be ashamed sometimes to say, I'm sorry. And this I'm sorry is not only what you do in marriage, you can do it to your children. If you disappoint one of the standards you want to put, tell them, I'm sorry. I'm also human. And use that to also teach people how to succeed in spite of failure. And that's how, because if you make a mistake and find your way out of it, you also have a lesson that is precious. Hello. You become a voice where you have a few people that can speak. If you went through cancer and you survived it, you are a voice that is rare. Don't hide that voice. Because everybody talks to everybody how not to have. Who talks to people who have already got it, how to come out of it? So when you make a mistake, correct your mistakes, conquer your failures, and then you have a message to give to your generation. A man that has failed can still have a voice if he will first conquer his failures. If you don't conquer your failures, then you have lost your voice eternally. You have nothing to offer anybody. Don't give your strength to women. Don't give your strength to women, nor your ways to that will destroy kings. This is what immorality did to Solomon. And this is a woman that is training her own son to rule a country by preparing him. And his values. You notice that among the things you must put in your child first are values. Then coat it with wisdom. Wisdom, if it lacks the moral foundation, will not deliver. It will still lead to failure. Solomon is an example. Build the character and the moral fiber of the children. It is not for kings, it is not for kings to drink wine. You see another thing, issue about drugs, alcohol, and all these other things that intoxicate. And today we include things like cigarette because of its harmful effect. To drink wine, not for princes, intoxicating drink. Verse 5, he said, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the justice of all the afflicted, to end up affecting their leadership. Okay, verse 6. Give strong drink to him that is perishing, wine to those that are of bitter heart. Verse 7. Let them drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. So, temporary relief. The same reason we give anesthesia. Anesthesia does not cure pain. It suspends it for a short period. And then it wears off. What happens? The pain comes back. So, in those days when they didn't have some of these medical discoveries, there are some herbs they use. You can use alcohol. It's also used to numb pain. And then when you have broken heart and you are shattered. Sometimes they take it and it lifts you to that place of high. You forget, John broke my heart. So he said, give alcohol. But alcohol does not solve that person's problem. He said, you that have a destiny, don't drink it. Don't ever touch it. If you want to offer it to people that are ready to perish. Who has nowhere they are going. Let them at least use it to massage themselves temporarily, give themselves temporary relief. Drinking, going to bar, going to clubs. Stay away from such things. Womanizing. The evil of society has gotten to a level and you want to bring it to your own home, to your own life. Keep going in that direction. One of those days you will meet the devil close range. So what I wanted to show you here is at verse 8. Open your mouth for the speechless. Give me Old King James. In the case of all that are appointed, open your mouth for the dumb. In the cause of all of such that are appointed to destruction. Yes, verse 9. Because if you're going to be a king, you need to start speaking up for the less privileged, for people who can fight for their rights, for the justice, social justice. Open your mouth, judge righteously, plead the cause of the poor and the needy. Do you see how you raise a socially responsible child? If it's only one child you have, his name is Timothy, give the world the greatest evangelist of our time. Give us a Billy Graham. Give us a Bishop Timothy. If it's only one child you have, give us that political leader that can change the course of history. If only one child is what you have, give us a prophet like Samuel. Give us somebody that will grow up, create so much wealth, and solve the problem of poverty, unemployment in the society. It's intentional parenting. Everyone say intentional parenting. What in my own time my parents were grooming me for is to be a doctor. That's what is actually, and I did well in school, when didn't last in the medical school, went off on there. But in those days, being a father of a doctor or a lawyer and all that, grew for God a powerful professional in your house. But don't stop at that level. Look at the apex of leadership. Look at ministry. Look at governance. Look at professional leadership. And when you are doing, don't raise somebody to go and get a job. Look at the peak. Once you put division early in the, then when you get to verse 10, he now adds, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. She was one, because that's who she was to her husband. Secondly, she also mentored this boy on how to find that lady where he sees her, by training him on how to recognize such a man, such a woman. So you see, a successful mother and a successful husband. Do you see the first quality of this lady? Verse 11. The heart of her husband. Verse 11. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. There are 7 core qualities of this lady. Go and study it. And then set that for yourself, that's who you will be. The impact of her life is felt in her home, felt in the life of her children, felt in her career and businesses. When you read that, you see that she's a businesswoman, a career woman, and at one time she started manufacturing certain things. Understood domestic parenting and understood the domestic part of her assignment very well. Because tied to the calling to be a wife, to help your man, and the calling to parent your kids is that mandate to be a homemaker. To be a homemaker. And so what a woman does is that you might not have all this, but you put yourself in a program that helps you balance whatever the deficits are. If you want to be a virtuous woman, a Proverb 31 woman, pay the price and pay it now. It's not too late. Married or married, you don't know how to cook. There are sisters that know how to cook. Put your nose on the ground and smell them and ask questions in church, because this is the cheapest way of getting the problem solved. If not, the other thing is attend cooking school. But some of the things, see, what church does for you is that many of the things you will pay to get out there, family and community provides many of those things free for you. Everyone say I hear. For example, you're a pastor, and all of you women must pastor. You use your children and your husband to learn pastoring. If you're complaining about that man, what about that elderly man you're going to pastor in church that is stubborn? How do you get along with him? What about that one that probably has a lot of money, can donate all the things you need, but when you talk about commitment, he's not committed? How do you deal with him? Some of those issues are already here in small levels. So when we're training you on this, it's not just for that man. It's so that your ministry can be developed. These are your test tube, your laboratory for perfecting how to deal with human beings. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? This one that loves you, that is with you in the house, and you are complaining. So one of the secrets, this is the last for tonight, when we teach the 12 secrets for creating life career balance, life ministry balance. One of the secrets you will find when we get to that is that whether I'm in this season or in this season or in this season or in this season, doesn't make. If a woman develops her number one ministry, and she becomes a woman of God and start impacting lives, start touching lives, automatically you gain a family that did not come out of your natural womb, but out of your spiritual womb. You will have male, females that are your kids, spiritual kids. Anybody you're discipling, you build a family. Remember that Jesus promised us, if anyone leave father, mother, house, whatever for my sake, he will get them 100 what? Fold. Mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. What is he talking about? Sometimes we face persecution because of our pursuit of Christ. But at the end of the day, you are going to gain that in 100-fold. So a Pastor Angie has a 6-year-old daughter, but she's a pastor. There are times she's preaching in Enugu or preaching in Gombe or preaching in this. No matter how she finishes balancing, the fact that she has two families, a nucleus family and a larger community, has given her the support system. You're not supposed to leave that girl to be at the mercy of some housemaids when some other career people complain that they go to work, they come back, like in Lagos, I come back, by the time I finish with traffic, I get to my house by 9-10 in the night, and then I have to leave very early. And so this little girl goes through a lot of problems growing up. You are not supposed to go through that. Because there is this younger girl that needs mentorship to pass a particular phase. There are 4 seasons that you have already passed. She's not yet married, whatever. You should have a couple of hundreds of them you are mentoring. And part of what you should train them is not just how to sow to your pastor financial needs. The giving back to a man of God that invests in your life is not just how to give them money. One of the greatest way you can reward your pastor is to get involved in helping them with their children. If you have taught them well, and sometimes these seeds are more important than financial seeds. When you have to be this, when you have to go on that program, you are there for 2 days or 3 days, your husband will not lack food to eat, your house will not be dirty, the children will not lack all those basic support systems. Because we are emotional beings, we need relationship and support system. People that truly love and take care about these kids, not just people who are transactional. The maid might just be there for her salary. People that understand why. It might be that out of the 100 people you pastor, that is just 6. You will be able to see it. And those people are the ones who can bring to give you the additional. That's why you will not find any of those ladies of the Bible who didn't have an army. You see what Esther said? You guys go and fast. I am my maidens. She has her own army. And it's even so serious that at the time of marriage, when your family is giving you to him in marriage, those who give you a lady that you go with. There is no lady marriage of the Bible that didn't have that. Sarah came with somebody. It wasn't Abraham that brought Hagar. Go check Isaac. Rebecca came with somebody. Look at Jacob. Jacob ended up with 2 wives and came with 2 ladies to assist. They are not raised in a transactional form the way you would deal with maids. You treat them like slaves, like other people's kids. They are raised as part of the whole family. And so they put their life in raising. So this is what it means. You don't just come to church and answer Mommy Jew or Mommy Angie or Mommy whatever for nothing. You know, some people in the world criticize all this Mommy Geo or this because what is going on now is a abuse of title. People walking around answering them. There is a function of parenting you're supposed to be doing in the lives of people. He said, let older women mentor the younger women. They train them on homemaking. They train them on how to love their husband. They train them on how to love their children. They train them on parenting. They train them on. And then what the older one get is this support system that children provide. Is even more critical. How can you gain a child you did not give birth to? And he's even more loyal to you and carries out the function more than children you gave birth to in your womb. You see what we are talking about? Your ministry, you might not even have a physical child. Take up your first ministry God gave you, because that ministry you're supposed to do it with or without husband. Husband will come, and whenever they finish and go, that ministry must continue. That one is the reason God created you here. You should start it before you are married. And when somebody comes to marry you, he should know that you are a woman of God. And in negotiation and all the way, he must make room for that before he is accepted into your life. Some of you didn't start that early. Must now gradually carve out that niche. And while you do that, you must not also rob the man by taking away something from him. If, for example, your ministry life has something he removes, use another thing to fill it up. Don't let the man be eating soured food because you're a female pastor. Don't let him come back. Some of the things that his wife, supportive services the wife provides him, it's not there because you are jumping up. That's why God has blessed you. And remember that what God blesses is not only with females. When it comes to handling your husband and meeting some of his needs, there are some things there that you shouldn't bring a lady to do for him. You should also bring in guys to do it. Why should it be Haggai that is washing your undi, washing your this thing, and all of that? You have people who come to help clean the house. There must be at least one holy of holies, the bedroom of your husband, and all that. You can choose that one is your responsibility. And then even if you want to introduce somebody to come in to be able to help, let it be a male. Find a well-trained young man who can come and help him at that level. But because if Haggai keep helping him to his level of holiest of holies, whether he likes it or not, somewhere along the line, an intimacy will start developing between two of them. When a man eats and he's satisfied, if he's alone with somebody and it's the person that provided that satisfaction, there is something in him that goes out for that person. If he's in a restaurant, they will probably give tips or whatever, or just greet very well. If it's on a close range, something goes for the person. If a man is going through problems and he's carrying loads of problems, and somebody on a close range is the person that helps him on burden and helps him bring down that load and give him whatever is counsel or even just encouragement or just assurance. I believe in you. I believe you're going to make it. And maybe it can even include prayer. And that burden lifts. Something in him goes out. You see, what he needs is help. What he needs, God knows that he is help. Sometimes the person has not even done anything physical, but emotional support, encouragement, and reassurance. Sometimes men get into that place of crisis. They're even doubting their manhood. They are doubting whether they will make it. And that person reinforces that. If you leave Haggai to be the one doing this, that thing he had for you, because it's help that placed you where you are. It's a ministry of help. If you transfer, so in other words, there are delegatable responsibilities, there are non-delegatable responsibilities, and there are some strategically delegatable responsibilities, or responsibility that even if you have to delegate, it has to be a trusted person. That's why there are some women that when it comes to certain level, they use mature women that can even act like his mother or whatever. Women that have passed certain age to do certain role, to avoid certain. Why they allow the other ones to do all the external, all the other outer court and holy place work. Or you find a wise young man that has been trained. And in the same way that mentoring them, where you can mentor, who can fill that role. Don't go and fail in your responsibility and be complaining and nagging the man about it. Like the lady that is not providing her first ministry in marriage and is busy checking phone. I told her I was just nice to you because if you are my physical daughter, the way I would have talked to her, she will be wondering. And so in doing that, it becomes a symbiotic thing. Why this is how she gives back, but this is what you are giving. So you're actually mothering, parenting this younger one. And she marries and the relationship continues. You look at Ruth and Naomi. Even when she married into their family, the relationship of playing the role of her mother continued. That's how it is. If you refuse to do ministry, you are the one that chose to make your world small. You carry a lot of unnecessary load that is not meant for just one person to carry. There is none of these people you are reading about in the Bible who live that tiny world that is constructed by self-absorption. You are created to live for him. You are created to touch other lives. And by doing it, you also enrich your own life. God bless you. God bless you.